It's funny how sports teams make you feel conflicting emotions all of the time. Avs lose to the Philadelphia Flyers 2-1. We're going to keep this one on the short side because the past few games have felt like waking up on Groundhog Day over and over while watching the Avs. Right from the get-go on this one, you could tell the sloppiness and lack of finishing ability was going to be there again. With Hammond in net, it was a safe assumption that the Avs were going to have to score some goals to get this win, and they simply just did not do that. The closest they came in the first was Carl Soderberg ringing the post for number 64 on the season. That now ties us with last season's total. And honestly, that's not that bad this year. The Avs have scored enough to where that many posts doesn't really seem to drag them down, unlike last year, where if half of those goals went in, it would have felt a lot better. Nonetheless, the Avs' inability to finish gives opportunities to Philadelphia, and about halfway through the period, they finally get one past Hammond. Giroux's going to take the zone here, and then after a bit of some sloppiness with the puck bouncing around, the Flyers will recollect and make a good passing play, but follow Giroux as he comes back up out of the zone. The Avalanche players on defense lose him, and then he flies back into the circle where he's locked and loaded to rip a one-timer. And honestly, just full credit to the Flyers there. That was just a good play all the way around. There were plenty of plays that were much sloppier than that defensively for the Avalanche tonight. The Avs do respond well to the goal against, pushing back and getting a good amount of offensive zone time, but once again, especially players like Rantanen and Landeskog are just struggling to finish quality opportunities. And just like the first goal, the Avs fail to score, and again, you have Hammond in net here, so you knew one soft one was pretty likely to come, and near the end of the first, it does. Wheel's going to just pass this one back to Provorov, and you're going to see once the puck gets up there, really Hammond should have a clear lane to see this shot all the way into him. It doesn't look like it gets tipped. It's possible it just barely got touched, but somehow it goes off of Hammond's glove and through him above his pad. Obviously, that one was a little bit soft for Hammond, but there was no way that this game was his fault at all. After that second goal, he completely shut him down. He gave the Avs a chance to stay in this game, and the Avs just didn't put up goals. You don't win very many hockey games scoring one. And unfortunately, this is what the Avalanche's offense looks like when that top line doesn't show up offensively. Obviously, we couldn't expect McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog to score 3 points a game every game, but when they disappear, so do the Avalanche. Unfortunately, this time of year is a bad time for that line to disappear for a handful of games. So the Avs are down by 2 at the first intermission. To start off the second, the Avs would get 2 back-to-back power plays. Both of them would be very ugly. One of them they struggled to even get into the zone on, and when they did get into the zone, they really didn't generate much at all, with pucks just rolling off of sticks and silly passes that didn't make any sense being made. Thankfully, despite all of the sloppiness, we still do have some veterans on this team, and they really stepped up in the second period to bring the Avs back within 1. A funny bounce in the neutral zone off the boards creates a turnover, and Como picks it up, creating a 3-on-2 rush for the Avalanche here. Como's going to opt to hold up and eventually hit Johnson coming into the zone late. Once Johnson gets it, he's just going to throw this puck on net, and you have Nieto on the far side as well as Tony Nato on the near side to jam home rebounds. Tony Nato's going to get the first crack at it, but he's mostly fans on it. Luckily, it comes right over to Nieto, who puts it away. So involved in that play, you have Nieto, Tony Nato, and Johnson getting the assists, and then also Como getting them into the zone as well. It's nice to see a rookie get points when he slots in with those veterans that are consistently generating points, and it's something I wish the Avs would use more instead of so strictly sticking to that veteran-only forward line. And you have to give credit to Nieto there as well. He's usually thought of as the third piece on that veteran line, with Soderberg and Como doing the heavy lifting, but he's now proving he can continue to produce even if he's not with both of them. So you get it back to within 1, but then it's right back to the same story. The top line is struggling to finish. In fact, all lines from there on just can't seem to find finish, despite putting themselves in quality situations. It's tough to tell really what the problem is there, other than maybe the Avs are just a little bit snake bit or holding their sticks a little too tight right now. They've had plenty of opportunities where they have plenty of net to look at behind the goalie, and they either just shoot it right into the chest, or the goalie sticks his leg out and manages to stop one on them. When they're not finishing their chances, the sloppiness creeps in again and the Flyers start to control play. They would outshoot the Avs once again in the second period, much like the first. Luckily, it did look like Hammond had settled in for the second period, so he kept the lead at 1 by the end of the second. And then we have the third period. Once again, the Avs would start the period out on the power play, not do a whole lot with it, and then it would just be kind of disappointing for the first half of the third. For the umpteenth time, despite the Avs being the team behind in the third, they were getting outshot significantly. At one point, I believe the shots were 9-4 in the Flyers' favor. It's just not how third period hockey when you're behind is supposed to look. You're supposed to be the one pushing play heavily. And yeah, you'll give up bad chances, but you should be getting good chances in response, not just not getting anything. Eventually, we did see the Flyers go into the classic turtle that we see the Avs go into so often as well, and the Avs started to take over play, and they made a hard push through the last 10 minutes, but it just wasn't enough. Again, the Avs could not finish. And for the first game, maybe all year, I felt like this loss did fall on that top line of McRantiskog a little bit. When it's down to crunch time of the season, you need your best players to show up big for you, and they really didn't tonight. If anything, Rantanen in particular was just not able to get it done. The Avs have now scored 4 goals in their last 4 games, and that type of lacking offense is not going to get you to the playoffs. So there's kind of 2 ways to look at this one. You can look at it in the negative way of the Avs were well within a playoff spot and they should have had it locked down, and now they've basically thrown themselves out of the playoffs and made it extremely difficult for themselves to get back in. And that's disappointing. You can also look at it as, well, this team is still extremely young. It shouldn't be unexpected that they had a tail off like this. And the fact that they were even in a playoff position at all at any point this late in the season means that they had a fantastic year. And the thing is, both of those are correct. You can be disappointed with this team because they should have been able to push it into the playoffs. And you can be extremely happy with this team because they made it this far at all. Emotions are funny like that. The bad news is, what was likely the Avs only needing to play 500 hockey through the rest of the season now looks like they're going to have to win at least 4 out of their last 5 to get in. The good news is, somehow, the Avs still control their own destiny. Because they play 3 specific teams, Anaheim, LA, and St. Louis, if they win all 3 of those games, those are basically all 4-point games for them. So we've all ridden the roller coaster of not expecting the Avs to make the playoffs and then expecting them to, and now kind of being somewhere in between where they probably won't. And honestly, that makes the end of the season that much more fun. You don't have to worry about it. No real pressure. Go out there, watch them play, enjoy it no matter what the result is. If we make the playoffs, that's a bonus. It is a bit reminiscent of the 14-15 and 15-16 seasons where they got into a playoff spot late and then tailed off. But the big difference is, this year the Avs didn't buy at the trade deadline at all. So the Avs have not spent any assets to get themselves into playoffs this year, so it's not a major loss if we don't make it, really. While we didn't stock up on assets either, we still have an off-season to look forward to where we build on this team instead of having to scramble pieces together to try to hold on. And that's where things get really exciting going into the future. That is the end of this game video review. Thank you for watching. I'm Rudo3, and I'll try to get my next video out a little bit more on time.